Kerri here, and it is Tuesday chat time. And yeah, welcome. So I'll just wait a second and let everyone get on, and also let my computer do its thing. Here we go. I want to add a checklist. There it is. A link to a checklist about what I'm going to talk about today. So just bear with me. I'm going to double check that this link works. Let me see. All right. Yes, it worked. Great. You've got to love it when things work, hey? All right. So, oh, excuse me. All right, croaky throat. Always got a croaky throat in the mornings. I have no idea why. I think I need to drink more water maybe. I always forget to bring a water down here with me in my studio, but maybe I need a water cooler like you see in all the offices. And then it's here, and then I don't have to go back upstairs. So, all right, let me know if you can hear me. Hi, Odette. We're going to be talking... Sorry, I should have brought a drink down. We're going to be talking about... I've talked about entering art competitions before, but I wanted to really make it... really dive into it more for beginners, like if it's your first time entering an art competition. And I have a checklist for you to have a look through, which I've just put the link in the comments, so you can always... It's just a repeat, you say it every time. I know, it's because as soon as I go live, I get a scratchy throat. I should know every morning is the same. Maybe I shouldn't talk in the mornings. But anyway, maybe I just talk too much. That could be the other problem. All right. Actually, I think what it is, I probably don't talk to anyone other than the dog and the chooks maybe first thing in the morning. So my voice hasn't been given a workout until I actually get on live. All right. So today we're going to chat about entering an art competition for the first time. Okay, so I just got notes here. If you're in the Creative Barn, some of the things I'm going to show you, you've got access to, of course. But it's a good refresher because I know a lot of you guys probably don't realise half of the stuff is in the membership. That's in the premium tier though. It has the rooster section, which that's where we go into competitions and selling your work and doing commissions and all of that stuff. So, morning Bev as well. So yeah, so I'll let you know if you can find some of the stuff in there. All right, so I've got my notes here. So like I said, I've talked about art comps before, but I really wanted to talk more about for beginners. Okay, so entering a comp with confidence, I suppose, because it can be a scary thing. Hi Jennifer and Julie as well. So it's exciting. It's an exciting step in your creative journey, of course. Like we start off learning from all different places, and then I feel like we then hone in on our medium that we love, and then we get better and better, and then the next progression is obviously maybe trying to sell your work, but a great way to make that next step is entering art competitions. Okay, so it can be daunting, and just be clear that entering art competitions isn't all about winning or getting anything at all. It's, if you win, brilliant, that's great. But the whole thing, I encourage all my members to try and enter local competitions because it can build your confidence, and it's just a lot of fun seeing your work out in the public and getting reactions. It's good to know whether what you're doing is pleasing to other people as well. Although, I mean, as long as you're enjoying it, that's all that matters. But yeah, it's a bit of validation, I suppose, but it's an also a great way to become part of an art community in your area as well. So, but yes, it can be a bit scary. All right, Deb, Karen, hello, hello, Maya as well. Awesome, everyone's getting on. So yeah, so like I said, it's a great way to grow as an artist, and get exposure too. Actually, I suppose if you are wanting to start to sell work, maybe, or get known in your area for your art, especially if you're doing commissions, because you really want to be known in your local area that you paint commissions. So entering competitions with a dog portrait or a cat portrait, you may get some feedback from that, and people might, find out who you are, and then approach you about doing their own pet. So there's lots of benefits to entering a local art competition. It doesn't have to be local, but I would start local. It could be national. So I'm going to walk you through sort of what you need to look for. And like I said, if you look up in the comments, there's a link to download. I've got a checklist here, which just goes through about, which I'm going to talk about as well, like understanding the competition, artwork requirements, framing and presentation, entry forms and labels, photos and digital files, delivery and pickup, and the final check. So it's just a little checklist you can tick off, just to make sure you've gone through everything. Some competitions can be a bit more detailed and involved than others, but just your local art society's pretty straightforward, so that's where I would definitely start. Okay, so first of all, I should have found this out. Just let me have a quick Google. First of all, you want to find out where art competitions are. I'm just trying to find that. There we go. I'm just trying to find a couple that I'll share links. Hold on, I should have prepared earlier. So first of all, I would go to my local art society and my local art gallery and see what they have. If you can't find much there that interests you, I'm going to put these two websites in the chat. Art Prizes is one that is really good. I think it's international, and there's Calendar for Artists as well. Okay, there we go. Art Prize and Calendar for Artists. Okay, so I'd start locally. Okay, we're talking about beginners, first time entering a competition. So get into your closest town, I suppose. Go and visit a gallery, go and visit your art society, and just see. Usually they have notice boards, see what's happening. There are online competitions as well that if you might feel you'd rather start with an online competition, so that's where you can look at Calendar for Artists and artprizes.com. They also list all of the in-person competitions as well as online. Okay, so first of all, go to your art gallery or art society. Otherwise, check out those websites and see what's around. So the first thing we need to do is find out what competitions are around that we're interested in. And I usually make a list of all the competitions. Hold on, I've got a page here. So this page is available in the Creative Barn premium tier. Hold on, I've got to find where they are. So it is just a list. This I got off Calendar for Artists. So check out the Calendar for Artists website and see if they have any downloads. I got this quite a few years ago, so I'm not sure if it's still there. But it's just a simple, it could be anywhere. You could write this. So just write down all the competitions that interest you. Sorry, I've got the fan going here and it's blowing everything away. So this is from 2023, but I'm yet to do it this year, and I should have done this already, but that's my goal this week. So I wrote down all the ones that interested me. And then, of course, your closing dates are the really important part. And then I went through and just highlighted the ones that I really, really wanted to enter. And then going off the closing dates will help you determine whether it's possible to even enter that many. Okay, so don't, you might want to enter one. Okay, don't put it on yourself to enter heaps if it's your first time. Maybe just pick one that you think really sounds like something you'd like to do. And also probably for a first time, if you're doing national ones and that, or international, you've got to get your art there. So sometimes it's best just to start locally because the cost of shipping that can be quite expensive. Okay, so once you've figured out what competition you want to enter, then you need to read the rules carefully. Okay, so every competition is different, and some require a specific theme, whereas others don't have a theme at all. But then they'll either have a theme, like there's one I'm hoping to enter if I get a chance. Everything I should have organised this earlier because you'll find there's a lot of competitions throughout sort of May, around this time, like coming into this time of year. So it's something to organise right at the start of the year. You should do this, not leave it till April to even start doing it. But anyway, so some will want a theme. So there's one I want to enter up here. It's called Gira. It's run by the Hervey Bay Art Society, and it has a theme. But then there's a lot that don't have a particular theme, like there's the Doyles coming up, our local art society ones. And instead of an overall theme, they'll have sections. So there'll be a landscape section, a still life section, a portrait section, maybe a wildlife section. Okay, so there's no theme, but when you go to enter, like say if you're doing animals, you'll put yours in the wildlife section. Or it could be, if they don't have an animal one, then it'd go under portraiture. Okay, so the rule, like reading the rules, that's the first thing, and it'll go through what the theme is or what the type of art they're looking for, and it will also go through like what size. Some of them have a size limit. It can't be over a certain size. Usually it's about 1.2 meters or a meter, most of them, because they've got to try and fit everyone in the gallery, of course. So they do limit sizes. Others let you go huge, depending again. So, and also look, if you're interested in miniatures always have a size. Quite often it's 10 by 10 centimeters, but check that. It could be 10 by 10 in like a rectangle, like a 6 by 4 or something, as long as it fits that 10 by 10. I don't even know is it a square meter? No, I don't know, but you know what I mean. So check your sizes. Okay, mediums sometimes, they'll usually most will allow any medium, but you never know. I would check it. It could be a art competition that is specifically for charcoal. I don't know, or it could be just oils. That's very unusual, but check it anyway. And also framing, a lot will have, they'll want D rings on the back. So just get through those rules. So they'll have the deadlines. They're important too, when the entry has to be in, and then some are judged online, and then so you might enter but you might not get into the actual show. So there'll be entry deadlines. There'll be a deadline for when they tell you if you got in or not. Your local art competitions usually will let everyone in. It's more of the larger competitions that they'll only have 30 maybe out of, they'll have 1,000 entries and only picked 30. Like we just went to the Glover Prize, and I think they probably had more than 30, but it was limited. So you enter that, and even if you get picked, you're like, that's already a big feather in your cap in some of these bigger competitions. Um, so yeah, those the deadlines, and then the when your art has to get to them, and when you can pick it up, that sort of stuff. They'll also have the number of entries allowed. So usually it's one in every category if it's a category one. So you could enter one in a landscape, one into a still life, one into a portrait. I made the mistake, I didn't read the rules, and I entered two in flora and fauna. So it was two animals. No, I think I entered an animal and a flower, but they were both in the same category. So they phoned me up, of course, and I had to take one out because usually it's only one. Because I think they look at it, if you have two in the same category, you're competing against yourself a little bit. So they don't like that at all. Okay, and then of course there's always entry fees. Why choose an art competition as opposed to an art show, Janet? Um, Probably, if you mean an art show as in an exhibition, to to exhibit your work is a much bigger thing, I suppose, because you've got to go and find a gallery that will put your work up, or pay for a wall to exhibit your work. Whereas an art competition, it's a lot cheaper, and you can just enter it, um, and you're in with all the others, and you're also getting a lot more public eye on your work, I suppose, because they're promoting the competition and bringing people in. So either, I suppose. I think art competitions are great because I love going and seeing everyone's work, because especially up here I get quite a lot of students that we all enter similar competitions, so we usually all go together as a group and spend the afternoon checking it out, or we go to the opening night, and support each other, like, because we know a lot of the people that are winning awards and all the rest, so it's just great to go along and support it. And so that's my local area and that's why I love entering those. But I think, yeah, if you're in a position, I'm talking more about complete beginners putting work in a competition, I would start there first. I think just it's one piece, and go locally. Whereas if you've got enough work to do your own exhibition or an art show, I think that's what you're talking about, Janet, um, then you're probably a little bit further along, maybe. Um, Odette, you're hoping to enter your portrait of Costa at the Doyle Art Exhibition. 100% go for it. I'm definitely going to put some work in the Doyles this year. It's down the Gold Coast. Our lovely art retreat host, Gillian, in Tasmania, she actually is one of the, I can't think of what the name is, that helps run the Doyle Awards. So I'm definitely entering this year. I think I'm going to put my Banksia in that I've been working on over the last few weeks. That, and maybe, I don't know, I'll think of another one. But I'm going to put in, because when I wrote down what competitions I want to enter, there's about 5 that are all due in the next couple of months. So with some of them, because I do a lot of work, some of the ones that don't have a theme, I can pick work that I'm either currently working on or I've finished. So whereas there's a couple of others with a theme that I need to create new work for. So I'm picking and choosing what. That's another reason to write it all down, to figure out what art you can put in what, and whether you need to make new art for certain ones. But yes, definitely I did enter the Doyles. The Doyle Awards, it's in relation to Darcy Doyle, who's a very famous Australian painter, and his widow, can't think of her name, now, but she sort of sponsors it and helps. She's involved in the organising of it all. Um, so yeah, great competition down the Gold Coast, and they pretty much they accept a lot. Like they've got a huge space. I was talking to Gillian. They do have to not accept some, but depends. You've always got to be professional. If you go sending a painting that's in a broken frame, that's maybe got cardboard as the backing, it's chipped. They're not going to accept something like that. So just be professional about it. Um, the actual subject and the style of painting, I've seen some that are in the Glover Prize that I wouldn't have even had the guts to enter. So the subject matter and style probably um, isn't something that is judged, of course. It's more about the presentation. But the one thing the Doyles did actually announce this year, which I thought was pretty good, is they're not accepting any abstract work. Okay, and like they said, the Doyles is for, like, it's run and supported by Darcy Doyle, who was the most amazing landscape painter. And so they're sticking in that lane of more, not realism, but more, you've got to know, you've got to be able to tell what it is that the painting is. Okay, so it can't just be some paint thrown at a canvas, like a complete abstract like that. You have to be able to tell what the subject is. And like they said, there's plenty of other contemporary art competitions out there that abstract painters can enter, whereas this one they're sticking in their lane, which I thought was brilliant. So, oh yeah, you went last year, Odette, better than the Glover. Yeah, and I think much like the Glover is quite limited in the amount of artwork they have, whereas I think Gillian was saying there's like 400 or more pieces in the Doyles, so that's a good one to enter. Anyway, I'm getting very sidetracked as usual. Okay, so if there is a theme, we need to understand what that theme is. So it may have a theme like resolution or connection. Let me just see. Awards. I just want to see the Gira Art Awards, art competition, sorry, up here has a theme. And I just wanted to read it out. Prizes. Okay, so entrants are invited to submit works that demonstrate a conceptual engagement with the intersection of people, place, and the environment. Entrants are encouraged to consider an expanded approach to this theme. Gira is not another landscape prize. So the theme for this one, conceptual engagement with the intersection of people, place, and environment. Okay, which, for people like me, I really didn't understand what that meant. Okay, so I, of course, I asked ChatGPT to help me with what that meant. So, the ChatGPT went through. I had a chat back and forth with what that theme could mean in my style of painting. So, like with say the Fraser Island and the dingoes and all of that stuff that I love painting. Like we hashed out an idea about the coexistence between people and the dingoes on the island and all of that sort of stuff. So when I first read that theme, I really thought, I have no idea what that means. But once I'd sat and see, this is why I love ChatGPT, because it's like having a conversation with a very smart person that can help you understand a theme and help you figure out, like, it's like a back and forth. So you can type in, okay, I'm thinking then maybe how I could show, well, I've done it before with the dingoes with the reflection in the eye, but this time I wanted to involve like the tire tracks and all of that on the beach with the dingoes, and so I just had this back and forth, and then realised that can suit that theme that's in there. So it's good, and if you know someone else that is a bit smarter and can understand what some of these technical art jargon that they go on with, it just goes straight over my head. But if you know someone that is a bit clever, you could do exactly the same thing, a back and forth conversation to help you try and flush out an idea with a theme. Okay, so I do enjoy a themed um, competition because it really gets you thinking, and you have to create a piece for that competition. Whereas, some of the others I can just pick and choose ones I've already created, so I don't have to think that hard. But definitely a theme will get you. You'll get that creative um, brain happening. Okay, so so I suppose you just got to ask yourself how you would interpret it. Of course, it's got to be emotional and visual. Okay, anything with a theme, they want a story behind it. So it's good if you can tie it in with a memory of yourself or a place you love or a message that you care about. So your story and your emotion and your pain is going to be a lot stronger if it's something you're really passionate about, of course. So a couple of theme. Well, yeah, I would, like I said, hash it out with someone you know, or even the people holding the art prize. They could, if you're not clear on it, you could go and talk to them and figure out ideas with them. They could maybe explain it a bit easier, or like I said, get onto Chat GPT and talk to them, or it, or whatever it is. All right. So you could also coming up with ideas for a theme competition. Again, you could mind map um, that. I've talked about mind mapping before. It's where you start writing down ideas and you have little branches off of it, and just putting your ideas to paper can really help. And have I wouldn't have any background noise or anything. Just sit down with a bit of paper and start writing down and coming up with different ideas, because the more you're thinking, the more things will branch off from that. Okay. All right. So um, one of the other things with for when you're first looking at a competition, of course, is like I mentioned about the Doyle Awards. You frame and present professionally, because it's just really important. You want to come across as professional and not just hobby artists, or well, not even. I mean, even a hobby artist could frame really nicely. It's more just about taking pride in your work, I suppose, just presenting it really nicely. So make sure it looks clean and professional. Um, like I said, no cracks, no chips, no broken corners. A more neutral coloured frame will make your artwork pop more. So don't go too crazy on the frames. Um, Make sure your glass is all nice and clean. There's no smudges all over it. If you put your art into your frame, which we've all done 1,000 times, and turn it over and you've got a little bit of hair or there's something on the mat or something, don't just ignore it. Pull it all apart, get rid of it, put it back together. I know it's easier sometimes just to go, oh, I couldn't be bothered, pulling it all apart again, but you really have to. Pretty much all competitions will ask for a D ring hook on the back. It's a certain type of hook. It's just shaped like a D. If you've got your frame professionally framed, they'll have D hooks on them. But if you're using, say, if you've decided to use a frame from Spotlight or Big W or somewhere, you're going to have to put D hooks on the back. Also, you can spruce those frames up a bit by getting new mat boards cut for them. doing a double mat, that sort of thing. Um, and yeah, so framing's pretty important. And then labeling your work, um, labeling it correctly. Oh, hi, Jeanette. Um, so most comps will have specific label rules or instructions. So it'll usually have the artist name, the title of the work, the medium, and the size, and the price. Okay, so sometimes they'll give you a layout, like you can print out and fill that out and stick it on the back of your art. Otherwise, they just write down. You just have to make your own label and put that on. Now, with the price, usually the usually anything going in, not, I would say usually 9 times out of 10, anything going in an art competition has to be for sale quite often. Okay, because that's how the galleries that's holding it makes money, because they get a commission off your sales. Okay, so that's another thing to look at, is how much commission is kept if your work sells. But if they allow it to not be for sale, you just put NFS, so not for sale. But like I said, check that in the rules. Some of them will state it has to be for sale, but some don't. And then that's totally up to you. If it does say it has to be for sale, what you'll see some artists do is they'll put a crazy price on it because they don't actually want to sell it. So if you're in a local art competition and there's work that's all around like 500 to 2,000, that sort of price range, and then you see someone's piece that's 20,000, then you know they don't actually want to sell it, but it's for sale, but it has to be for sale. So, um, and then of course also check if it's an acquisitive art prize. An acquisitive means that they keep the winning entry. Okay, so like if you've entered and you win, then you get the prize money and they keep the art. Okay, so always keep in mind, when you're entering, if you've entered a painting that you valued at $2,000, that's your sale price, and say you've entered a competition that the first prize is only $500, then that's not good for you, because you win $500 and they keep your $2,000 painting. Okay, so always check for that one as well. Um, and then your label just goes on the back. Always keep a track as well of what you're entering. So because I've done this before, I've entered art competitions, filled in the forms, handed them in, and then forgot to take a copy myself. And then 2 months later, when the actual competition is about, I've totally forgotten what I've entered and how much I've put on it and all the rest of it. So always try and keep a track. So if you've got, if you downloaded this at the start of the year, this has, it's not available anymore. I took it offline because, we're at the quarter of the way through. But if you do have this, you have this page which has like an area to keep track of your art competitions. And also, if you're in the Creative Barn Premium tier, in the Rooster module, there's also these, which again I got off of Calendar for Artists quite a few years ago. So this is a page to fill out with what you submitted, or you could just keep a track. I have a folder here that I just keep a track. I print out like all the competition rules and entries there, like all the rules and conditions, and then I have everything written down. So that's another way to keep track of it all. And then I also have at the front a year in a glance sort of thing of, so I can sort of write down when the deadlines are, and being able to see it over the whole year, you can figure out if they're spaced properly. You don't want to have everything all in 1 month. So if you can find competitions that are spaced across the board, is a good idea. Okay. But again, like I'm trying to talk about just if you're first entering competition. So you may only have one that you want to do this year, and that can be your goal: enter a competition this year. Okay. Um, so labeling, we did all that. Um, Title, your art will want a title, and don't just put. I've done it before. I've just put, um, I don't know, cow or something, or beach, like wave, study, things like that. Try and don't do that. Try and actually come up with a name, because when you think about it, people walking around are looking at your art, and the name, what you've titled it, can really evoke different emotions and more depth and thought into your artwork. Okay, so try not to be just obvious with what it is. Try and think about the story behind your work. And again, if you're struggling, ChatGPT is another great one. I've done it before. I write in all about the piece of artwork, like what it is, what colors I've used, my thoughts behind it, why I created it. And then I say, can you give me 20 name ideas? And it spits out all the name ideas, and then you can mix and match, and like there might be something brilliant that you love, or you can use a few different words from a few ideas that they give you. Okay, so but definitely, yeah, put a little bit of thought into the title. Sometimes you'll need an artist statement or bio, usually a statement. Well, not usually, there's a lot of art competitions, they just want the title, that's it. But there are others that will want a bio. And also, if uh, who was it? Janet mentioned in an art show. If you're doing an art show, like so you've hired a wall in a gallery and you're putting pieces up, I would do a artist statement. Try to do an artist statement against each painting, and a statement is just one or two sentences about that particular piece of work, whereas an artist bio is about you, the artist. Okay, but an artist statement just goes next to the piece of work with your thoughts and ideas behind the piece, and it helps the viewer to connect with the piece more than just the title. Okay, so but a lot of competitions don't ask for that. Some of the bigger ones probably would, but again, you could get ChatGPT to help you with that. So yeah, it's just all about why you were inspired, and how that piece connects to the theme. So you would find, I think the Gira competition will more than likely want an artist statement because it's a themed competition. So they want to know how my piece is going to relate to that theme. Okay. All right, let me just check here. All right, how do you calculate the selling price? So Alexandra, you always remember if you're in a competition and it's usually hosted by a gallery, that it'll be in the rules. So first of all, we read those rules, and they'll have what commission if it sells. On average, I would say it's around 30%, 35%. It can be as high as 50%. So first of all, you want to go, all right, you need to take into account with your costing, like how much the artwork has cost, how much the frame was. So if, I don't know, say, all right, say the cow here behind me. Okay, yep, that one there. Right, so that's a professional frame. So the frame was probably about, I think it cost me about 180 by the time I got it here. I would be happy to sell that piece of art for, I would probably want about $600 or $700 myself. So then I go, so think about how much you want for it, then add the frame. So say if I said, all right, I'd be happy to give part with that for $600, the actual, the drawing, the painting. And then I've added my frame on, so that's 180. So that's 780. And then their commission at 30%. You want to add, so 30% of 780 would be, I have no idea. It's a couple $100. So add it all up that way. I think I have that for sale for about 1,200 if it's going into a competition or a gallery situation where they're keeping a percentage. Okay, so just really think about what you would be happy selling that piece, and then add your costs on top, your framing and everything, and then don't forget to add your percentage of what the gallery keeps. Okay, so that in the end, so at a $1,200 painting, yeah, I work it out backwards. If you put that price, take off the 30% or whatever the thing is, and then take off the framing costs, and then that's your profit. And are you happy with that? The amount of time you've put into it, how much you love the piece, all the rest of it. I always feel whenever I sell a piece for about 2,000 or so, by the time I take out all of the costs and everything, I usually end up with making just over 1,000 profit. And sometimes I'm happy with that. Others I feel, I would have preferred that hanging in my house because I loved it so much. So, there is, I don't know, I feel like a lot of artists do get regret with selling some of their work. Some pieces I'm overjoyed to sell because I'm not attached to it as much, but others I think, and I do know if I really love it and I'm attached to it, they're the ones that sell all the time. Whenever I do a painting, if I absolutely think, wow, I'm so pleased with this, I love it so much, I'm going to put it up in the house, I always find they're the ones that sell. So it's a gauge, I suppose, within myself, knowing which ones are probably worth more. And then I always think, it's only money. Sometimes I think I wish I'd still had the painting to look at. But then again, take a good quality photo, and then you can always, it's not quite the same, but yeah. All right, Jeanette. I think most art shows make lots of money on the entries. Many here at $10 per painting. Multiply that by 500, 5,000, and then commission if you sell. Yeah, definitely. And you know what, Jeanette, $10 entry is cheap. That's pretty good. Most art competitions I'm finding are around $30 a piece. So, and you keep a book with your entries price. And yeah, and sales and awards. That's a great idea to include that in your book. So put the art competitions, but then also keep a copy of what, if it's sold, what it's sold for, if you won a prize, any certificates, because it's great to reflect back on that, especially with your pricing as well, because of course our price goes up and up and up. And the more we sell, the more we get known, our price can go a lot higher. But like I said right at the start, I really wanted to make this about first time people entering competition. Don't feel that you're doing the art to win the prize and to sell. There's a lot of people that create art for their own pleasure and still enter competitions and everything. And if you sell a piece, that's a bonus because you get to buy more art supplies. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. Okay, so all right, so we want to make sure we're meeting all our deadlines as well, because there's nothing more frustrating than you've really wanted to enter an art competition, and when you get around to it, you've realised you're a week late putting in your entry. So, and usually, sometimes depends. Sometimes, like our local art competition, I think the form has to be entered by May, but the painting doesn't have to be delivered by June. So you've got like a couple of weeks. So you need to know what you're painting and make sure it will be finished before you enter. But there is a bit of a leeway there. If you're not quite finished, you've still got a couple more weeks. So maybe it might not be framed, and you can get it framed in those couple of weeks. But in general, definitely try and make sure it's finished and photo. Make sure you take a good photo before you put it in a frame, of course. And then if you're shipping it, you need to make sure you allow time for shipping and delivery and all of that stuff. But as a first time competition, I would definitely try and stick somewhere local, because it's also brilliant to go to the exhibition opening. That's one of the best parts about entering a competition, is going along for the opening night and checking out everyone's artwork, and make sure you take a friend or someone else who's also got work in there. It's always good fun, and also to support those that win as well. Okay, again, keep a record, which is what we've already talked about, keeping a record of it, so that we can look back on it as well. And also, then I can easily go, if mine's in a competition, maybe the exhibition for it's running for a month, I can go back to my notes and my records to look at when that has to be picked up, because quite often I'll forget when the pickup date is, and it's always between, you usually have a 2-hour gap to pick up on a lot of these, because they're volunteer run. Some of them don't want to sit there all day, so they do have quite a small timeline to pick your work up. So always keep a track of that, and make sure, I've entered a competition before, totally disregarded the pickup date, and then realised that I actually wasn't even going to be in the area at all on the date of pickup, so I had to try and organise someone else to do it for me. Okay, so always check those dates. And then learn from the experience. Of course, like I said, whether you win or not is it's irrelevant, but it will help you grow. And try and get to the exhibition and see what everyone else has submitted. Also, if it's a themed exhibition as well, that's a great one to go and really look at what the other artists' ideas are, and it might give you more clarity as well on what the theme is, and also you can reflect on what you would do differently. Okay, so so just remember, it's not about winning. Okay, that's the main thing. It's about putting yourself out there and enjoying. Like, that's the main thing. Have fun. That's the big thing. So, like I said, I've got this checklist here. So it really breaks down each stage of what to look for and how to go about entering. In that, if you go right up the top of the comments, the link is there. I'll also put that in the art competition section of the Creative Barn Rooster module for those that are in the premium tier. I'll get that checklist in there as well. Okay, so just start early, not only with finding out what competitions. Like I said, it's something that should have been done probably in January, but there's still time. There's still plenty of competitions going. But start early. Make sure start your painting early as well. Make sure you've given yourself plenty of time to create a really good painting and don't rush it. Of course, get it framed, photographed. Take good photos of it as well, especially if you're doing a digital entry, like an online art show. They can only judge it off your photos. Okay, so make sure you have really good photos, and be proud of yourself for entering an art competition, because that's a big step, and it's part of the journey and a lot of fun. And then, like I said, don't stress. No stress. All right. We'll catch recording sitting in pre-op clinic. Oh, you're getting... fingers crossed for you. I hope everything goes well. That's exciting as well. All right. Okay. That is it. If anyone has any other questions, let me know. But I hope that's made it... I hope we've encouraged you to maybe go and check out some of those websites and join a competition, like enter something. But yeah, go to your societies, go to your galleries, check the websites, and just pick one this year. Make that your goal. You're going to enter one art competition this year, But yeah, go through the rules. Like I said, check it out. Check out the themes. Figure out what sections, if it's sections, you're going to enter, and create one painting for it and enter. And you'll have to let me know if you do, because it's exciting. And every one of my students, I do encourage them to enter art competitions as they get to that sort of stage. And everyone that does is so nervous about it, but the feedback once they've been and done it and gone along to the opening, or just taken their family to see their work in the gallery, it's really gives them a boost, and they are so happy they did it, and it inspires them and it makes them feel like an artist, and you can call yourself an artist, you know. So all right, okay, I'm gonna go. I'm heading into town to catch up with a few of my friends and some of the other members, and then I've got plenty of shopping to do because I've been trapped in here since what, Saturday? Friday. Friday I was flooded in, but the roads are all clear now, so I can get out. So it's time to go and get some more food. All right. Thanks as always for joining me, and I'll see you all next week. And yeah, have a great day, and hopefully you get to do some art this week. All right, see you later. Bye.